From infancy to adulthood, Hayden Panettiere lived in the blinding glare of the camera. She grew up on our screens, evolving from a child actor in soap operas to an indestructible television superhero, a country music diva, and a resilient horror survivor. Then, on August 16, 2026, Hayden Panettiere died at the age of 36. The shock of her sudden passing rippled through multiple generations of audiences. To understand why her loss resonated so deeply, we have to look closely at how her extraordinary trajectory began. For decades, her public image was managed, molded, and heavily scrutinized by studio executives and the tabloid press. Her life story is a relentless struggle to wrestle the pen away from those external forces and finally write her own ending. Her career in the entertainment industry began before she could form memories. At just 11 months old, she appeared in a national toy commercial. By the age of 4, she had secured a demanding recurring role on the daytime soap opera One Life to Live. That early exposure quickly translated into major motion picture success. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, she booked prominent roles in Disney features and studio comedies, effectively growing up on film sets. Sustaining that level of momentum carried a heavy physical toll. When she was 15 years old, members of her team began giving her what they called happy pills. The goal was to suppress her stage fright and force high energy during exhausting red carpet appearances. She later described herself during this period as a little soldier. Saying no to an audition or a public appearance was simply not permitted. She was trained to memorize dialogue, hit her marks on set, and follow orders without question. This rigorous conditioning taught her to prioritize external performance over her own internal well-being. By stripping away her personal agency during her most formative years, the industry laid a hazardous foundation that made her deeply vulnerable to trauma and substance dependency in adulthood. In 2006, she reached a new tier of global fame on the hit television series Heroes. She played Claire Bennet, a high school cheerleader possessing the superhuman ability to rapidly heal from any physical injury. She carried that momentum into her 20s, leaning heavily into genre filmmaking. Her sharp, highly praised performance as horror aficionado Kirby Reed in the Scream franchise cemented her status as a fan-favorite survivor. Her career shifted gears again when she accepted the role of Juliette Barnes, a fiercely ambitious country music star in the primetime drama series Nashville. As the series progressed, the writers began incorporating highly specific elements of her private life directly into the scripts. Her character dated a prominent athlete, suffered from severe addiction, and navigated acute parental crises, mirroring the exact challenges she was actively facing off-camera. The boundary between the actor and the character collapsed completely. She was forced to perform fictionalized versions of her own deeply personal pain for a television audience, a process that compounded her off-screen struggles. In 2014, she gave birth to her daughter, Kaya. The delivery resulted in a severe postpartum hemorrhage and required a second surgery to save her life. That terrifying physical ordeal quickly gave way to debilitating postpartum depression. Struggling to navigate the overwhelming anxiety and the demands of a relentless shooting schedule, she increasingly relied on alcohol and opioids to cope with the psychological weight. Her growing dependency placed an immense strain on her relationship with her fiancé, heavyweight boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko. As the addiction deepened, their family unit began to fracture. Recognizing she could not provide a stable environment, she made the agonizing decision to sign over primary custody. Her daughter moved to Ukraine to live safely with Klitschko, while she entered intensive residential treatment. In the chaotic years that followed, she found herself trapped in a highly publicized, physically abusive relationship. Stripped of her primary support systems, she endured one of the darkest periods of her adult life. Relinquishing her child and pausing her career were heavily criticized by the tabloid press. In reality, stepping away was a profound act of self-preservation. It was a necessary retreat to break the cycle of destruction she had been locked in since childhood. After completing an extensive 8-month rehabilitation program, she began the arduous process of rebuilding. She returned to her craft, reprising her beloved role in 2023's Scream 6. In May of 2026, she published her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning. After decades of having her image shaped by studio publicists, she laid out the unvarnished facts of her life. She used the book to process the profound traumas she called lifequakes. Chief among these was the sudden death of her younger brother, Jansen, in 2023, a devastating loss she navigated with radical transparency. She dedicated her final years to independent, purpose-driven work. She led fierce marine conservation campaigns, advocating for dolphins, and she executive produced and starred in the 2026 psychological thriller, Sleepwalker. By putting her trauma onto the page and stepping into a producer role behind the camera, she dismantled her little soldier conditioning. She finally became the sole author of her own life. On August 16, 2026, Hayden Panettiere died. The official cause remains under investigation, though early reports pointed to cardiac arrest following an overdose. Her death at 36 is an undeniable tragedy, yet her final years were defined by a hard-won victory, the quiet triumph of reclaiming her mind, her body, and her voice. By speaking openly about the terrifying realities of postpartum depression and the grip of addiction, she provided a powerful blueprint for survival. Countless fans found the courage to seek help because she was willing to reveal her own lowest moments. Hayden Panettiere spent the defining years of her career playing women with indestructible bodies and superhuman abilities. Ultimately, her most enduring act of bravery was exposing the damaging machinery of child stardom. Her honesty forces us to look past the gloss of early fame and question the true cost paid by children growing up inside our screens.